In 1986, Crocodile Dundee took the world by storm, introducing audiences to the rugged, charming Mick Dundee and turning Paul Hogan into an international superstar. But did you know the film was almost rejected by Hollywood? Or that a real-life survival story may have inspired the character? From behind-the-scenes struggles to iconic movie moments, here are 20 things you never knew about Crocodile Dundee. In 1977, Rod Ansell set out on a hunting trip in the Australian Outback, but disaster struck when his boat capsized. Stranded in the wilderness with no supplies, he survived for nearly 2 months by drinking buffalo blood, sleeping in trees to avoid crocodiles, and hunting with makeshift weapons. Despite the extreme conditions, he treated the ordeal like an adventure, showing remarkable resilience and adaptability. When he was finally rescued, his incredible story fascinated the public. Many believe his survival experience inspired the character Mick Dundee in Crocodile Dundee, though Paul Hogan denied any connection. However, fame did not bring happiness. Struggling to reintegrate into society, Ansell's life spiraled into chaos. In 1999, a tragic confrontation with police led to his untimely death. Though his story ended in darkness, his survival feat remains legendary, proving the power of human endurance. For years, rumors have swirled that Crocodile Dundee was inspired by a real-life bushman, with many pointing to survivalist Rod Ansell as the model for Mick Dundee. But Paul Hogan, the film's creator and star, has repeatedly dismissed these claims. According to Hogan, the character was purely fictional, born from his imagination and shaped by Australia's rugged, adventurous spirit. Hogan has explained that his goal was to create an Australian hero who could captivate international audiences. He wanted someone larger than life, yet relatable, tough but charming, wild yet witty. While the Outback and its eccentric personalities certainly influenced the film's tone, Hogan insists that no single person was the blueprint for Dundee. He envisioned the character as a mix of Australia's legendary bushman, spiced up with humor and swagger to make him unforgettable. Despite Hogan's denial, the speculation never faded. The resemblance between Dundee and real-life survival stories remains too compelling for some fans to ignore. But whether based on fact or fiction, one thing is certain: Crocodile Dundee became a cultural phenomenon, cementing its place as one of the most iconic films of all time. Paul Hogan didn't need to wrestle crocodiles to come up with Crocodile Dundee, all it took was a trip to New York. While visiting the city, he was struck by the contrast between the urban jungle and the rugged Australian outback. He imagined what would happen if a true bushman, someone completely unprepared for modern city life, was dropped into the heart of Manhattan. That idea became the foundation for one of the most iconic comedies of all time. Hogan wanted to create a character that embodied the wild, adventurous spirit of Australia, someone tough, resourceful, and effortlessly charming. But to make the story compelling, he needed conflict. That's where New York came in. The culture clash between a man who had spent his life navigating the wilderness and a city where people barely made eye contact was the perfect setup for humor, tension, and unforgettable moments. From that simple yet brilliant contrast, Crocodile Dundee was born. The film didn't just entertain, it introduced the world to an exaggerated yet beloved version of the Aussie bushman, forever changing how audiences saw both Australia and New York. Before Crocodile Dundee became a worldwide sensation, it nearly got tossed aside by Hollywood. When the film was first pitched to major studios, one executive at 20th Century Fox dismissed it outright, claiming it had no potential. To them, the idea of an Australian bushman navigating New York seemed too risky, too foreign for American audiences. They passed on the project without a second thought. But fate had other plans. Paramount Pictures saw something Fox didn't: a unique, charismatic story with universal appeal. They acquired the U.S. distribution rights, and what happened next shocked everyone. Crocodile Dundee didn't just succeed, it became a global blockbuster, earning over $300 million and turning Paul Hogan into an international star. The film's humor, heart, and unforgettable culture clash resonated far beyond Australia, proving that sometimes, the biggest hits are the ones Hollywood almost ignores. When Crocodile Dundee hit American theaters, it wasn't quite the same film Australian audiences had seen. Around 7 minutes of footage, mostly scenes set in the Outback, were cut to make the film faster-paced and more accessible to U.S. viewers. Hollywood executives believed that certain moments, while charming to Australians, might slow down the story for an international audience unfamiliar with the country's culture and humor. The edits primarily focused on trimming character interactions and minor details about Mick Dundee's life in the bush. The goal was to streamline the film, ensuring American audiences stayed engaged before the action shifted to New York. While these changes didn't drastically alter the story, they subtly reshaped how audiences perceive Dundee, focusing more on his fish-out-of-water experience in the city rather than his rugged Outback origins. Despite the cuts, Crocodile Dundee became a massive success in the U.S., proving that even with a few missing minutes, the film's humor, charm, and adventurous spirit were universally appealing. "That's not a knife. That's a knife." This legendary line from Crocodile Dundee is one of the most quoted moments in film history, but believe it or not, it almost didn't make the final cut. When the script was first written, the line seemed too simple, too unremarkable to stand out. On paper, it lacked impact, and some even considered removing it altogether. But everything changed when Paul Hogan delivered it on set. In the now famous scene, Mick Dundee is confronted by a New York mugger wielding a small switchblade. Instead of panicking, he calmly pulls out his own massive Bowie knife and delivers the line with effortless confidence and dry Aussie humor. The combination of Hogan's perfect timing, the contrast between the two knives, and the audience's growing anticipation made it an instant classic. Once the film hit theaters, that one sentence became a defining moment, not just for Crocodile Dundee, but for Australian cinema as a whole. It transformed a simple exchange into an unforgettable piece of pop culture, proving that sometimes, the most iconic lines come from the most unexpected places. In December 2024, Bert, the iconic saltwater crocodile from Crocodile Dundee, passed away at Crocosaurus Cove in Darwin at over 90 years old. Captured in the 1980s, Bert gained worldwide fame for his role in the film, particularly in the scene where he lunges at Sue Charlton, only to be stopped by Mick Dundee. After his Hollywood moment, Bert spent the rest of his life as a beloved attraction, captivating visitors with his imposing size, over 5 meters long and 700 kilograms heavy. Despite many attempts, Bert never showed interest in mating, earning a reputation as a bachelor croc with a fiery personality. In 2018, he surprised the world by correctly predicting France's victory in the FIFA World Cup final, solidifying his legend beyond film. To honor his memory, Crocosaurus Cove will install a commemorative plaque, ensuring that Bert's legacy as both a movie star and a wildlife icon lives on. The intense crocodile attack scene in Crocodile Dundee had audiences gripping their seats, but in reality, there was no real danger, because the crocodile wasn't real. The massive reptile that lunges at Sue Charlton was actually a sophisticated animatronic, costing a staggering $45,000 to create. With lifelike movements and an eerie presence, the mechanical croc blended seamlessly into the scene, fooling audiences worldwide. Surprisingly, the trickiest animal to work with wasn't the crocodile, it was the water buffalo. In one of the film's most memorable moments, Mick Dundee subdues a massive buffalo with just a hand gesture. The scene looks effortless, but behind the scenes, it was anything but. The buffalo refused to cooperate, making filming a frustrating challenge. The crew tried everything to keep it still, from patience to clever camera angles. In the end, luck played a role, and they finally captured the now iconic moment. These behind-the-scenes details prove that sometimes, the most convincing moments in film aren't as natural as they seem, except for Paul Hogan's undeniable charm, which needed no special effects at all. After Crocodile Dundee became a global sensation, its breathtaking filming locations turned into must-visit spots for fans. Kakadu National Park in Australia, with its stunning waterfalls, vast wetlands, and ancient rock formations, became a symbol of the rugged outback. Visitors travel from all over the world to experience the same landscapes where Mick Dundee roamed, hoping to capture the wild essence of the film. Meanwhile, New York City also saw a surge in tourism, as fans sought out iconic locations like the Plaza Hotel, where Mick hilariously navigates high society, and the bustling streets of Manhattan, where his fish-out-of-water moments created comedic gold. The film's portrayal of the stark contrast between the outback and the city made these locations even more legendary. Decades later, both Kakadu and New York remain popular among travelers, proving that Crocodile Dundee didn't just entertain, it turned real-world places into lasting cultural landmarks. In Crocodile Dundee, Mick Dundee checks into the luxurious Plaza Hotel in New York, where he hilariously struggles with high-class amenities, especially the bidet. The lavish hotel room, with its elegant decor and extravagant bathroom, seemed like the perfect setting for his first experience with city luxury. But here's the truth, that room never existed. While the Plaza Hotel is real and remains one of New York's most famous landmarks, the suite shown in the film was entirely built on a soundstage. The production team recreated a high-end hotel room with extra space for cameras and lighting, allowing for better framing of Mick's comedic reactions. Most notably, the bidet, central to one of the film's funniest moments, was pure Hollywood fiction, as no real Plaza hotel room ever featured one. Despite this, many fans still visit the Plaza, hoping to step into Mick Dundee's world. But if they're looking for that exact room, or testing out a bidet, they're in for a surprise. Shooting Crocodile Dundee in the heart of the Australian outback wasn't just challenging, it was a battle against nature. With no hotels or modern accommodations nearby, the cast and crew had to live in makeshift tents, enduring extreme heat, swarms of insects, and the ever-present threat of wildlife. The most dangerous concern? Crocodiles. Filming took place in remote locations teeming with massive saltwater crocs, forcing the production team to employ armed guards to keep watch 24/7. Any misstep near the water's edge could have turned into a real-life survival story. Despite the tough conditions, the hardships only added to the film's authenticity. The cast and crew truly experienced the rugged beauty and dangers of the outback, making Crocodile Dundee feel as real as it looked on screen. Before becoming an international star, Paul Hogan's life was far from glamorous. He worked as a rigger on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, performing dangerous tasks high above the city. Hanging from steel beams and securing heavy cables, Hogan spent his days in one of the most perilous jobs in Australia, completely unaware that his future lay in Hollywood. His journey into entertainment began almost by accident. Confident in his wit, Hogan auditioned for a local talent show, believing he could outshine professional comedians. His natural charisma and sharp humor quickly won over audiences, launching him into television. From there, he created The Paul Hogan Show, which became a massive hit, showcasing his comedic genius. But his biggest break came with Crocodile Dundee, where he transformed from a comedian into a global icon. The man who once climbed the Sydney Harbour Bridge for a living suddenly found himself climbing to the top of the film industry, proving that sometimes, the most unexpected paths lead to the greatest success. Crocodile Dundee wasn't just a box office hit, it earned serious recognition in Hollywood. In 1987, Paul Hogan, John Cornell, and Ken Shady were nominated for the Academy Award for Best Original Screenplay. Their light-hearted yet sharp script captured the charm of the outback and delivered one of the most memorable fish-out-of-water stories in cinema history. However, despite the film's massive popularity, it faced tough competition. The award ultimately went to Woody Allen for Hannah and Her Sisters, a critically acclaimed dramedy with an ensemble cast and deeply personal storytelling. While Crocodile Dundee didn't take home the Oscar, the nomination alone was a remarkable achievement, proving that an Aussie comedy about a crocodile wrestling bushman could stand alongside Hollywood's best. Though it missed out on Oscar gold, Crocodile Dundee won something even greater, enduring cultural impact and a place in the hearts of audiences worldwide. Mick Dundee wasn't just a movie character, he became the face of Australia itself. His rugged charm, easygoing nature, and outback survival skills captured global audiences, turning Crocodile Dundee into more than just a film. It became a cultural symbol. In Japan, Dundee's appeal was so strong that he was chosen to promote the Subaru Outback, a car designed for adventure and off-road exploration. The campaign played on his image as the ultimate bushman, reinforcing the character's association with toughness and the great outdoors. But perhaps the most iconic moment of all came during the closing ceremony of the Sydney 2000 Olympics. As the world watched, Paul Hogan, dressed as Mick Dundee, took center stage, celebrating Australia's identity on one of the biggest platforms in history. The moment solidified Dundee's status as more than just a fictional character. He was a true Australian legend. In 2018, Crocodile Dundee fans were sent into a frenzy when teasers for what appeared to be a reboot of the beloved film started circulating. The clips featured Hollywood stars like Chris Hemsworth and Danny McBride, with McBride playing the supposed long-lost son of Mick Dundee. Excitement built up, and speculation ran wild. Was this finally the long-awaited sequel? But when Super Bowl Sunday arrived, the truth was revealed. There was no new Crocodile Dundee movie. Instead, the entire campaign was a brilliantly executed $27 million tourism ad for Australia. The trailers had been designed to showcase the country's breathtaking landscapes, disguised as a major Hollywood production. Fans who had hoped for a real sequel were left both amused and slightly disappointed. Despite the initial trickery, the campaign was a massive success, generating worldwide buzz and reminding audiences why Australia, and Crocodile Dundee, still held a special place in pop culture. Paul Hogan and Linda Kozlowski's on-screen chemistry in Crocodile Dundee was undeniable, but behind the scenes, their love story was far more complicated. When they met on set, Hogan was still married to his first wife, Nolene Edwards, with whom he had 5 children. Despite this, sparks flew between him and Kozlowski, leading to a highly publicized affair. Hogan eventually divorced Edwards in 1990 and married Kozlowski the same year. For over 2 decades, they seemed like the perfect Hollywood couple, often appearing together at events and living a glamorous yet relatively private life. However, by 2013, cracks in their marriage became too deep to ignore. Kozlowski filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. Though their romance didn't stand the test of time, their on-screen partnership remains legendary. Even today, fans still remember them as Mick Dundee and Sue Charlton, an iconic couple whose love story, both real and fictional, captivated the world. Crocodile Dundee wasn't just backed by Hollywood studios, it was funded by an unexpected mix of 1,400 private investors, including none other than Michael Hutchence, the legendary frontman of INXS. At the time, Australian cinema wasn't known for massive international hits, making this an ambitious and risky venture. But the gamble paid off in a way no one could have predicted. The film became a global phenomenon, earning over $300 million at the box office and becoming the highest-grossing Australian movie of all time. Investors saw unprecedented returns, and Crocodile Dundee cemented its place in film history. For Hutchence, best known for his rock stardom, this investment was a rare foray into the movie business. While he never pursued a major career in film production, his involvement in Crocodile Dundee linked him to one of Australia's greatest cinematic successes. At one point, Paramount considered an ambitious crossover, Crocodile Dundee meets Beverly Hills Cop. The idea was to bring together Mick Dundee, the rugged Australian bushman, and Axel Foley, the wisecracking Detroit cop, in a wild, action-packed comedy. The concept had potential. Combining Dundee's Outback survival skills with Foley's street-smart tactics could have created a unique mix of humor and adventure. Imagine Dundee navigating the chaos of Beverly Hills with Foley, or Foley struggling to adapt to the dangers of the Australian outback. It could have been a culture clash comedy on a whole new level. However, the idea never made it past early discussions. Whether due to creative differences or concerns over how to blend the two distinct worlds, Paramount ultimately scrapped the project. While fans never got to see this unlikely duo in action, Crocodile Dundee and Beverly Hills Cop both remained legendary in their own right. Despite its worldwide success, Crocodile Dundee hasn't aged without criticism. Some scenes in the film have been called out for their outdated views on gender, LGBTQ+ representation, and Indigenous Australians. One of the most controversial moments involves Mick Dundee discovering that a woman he is flirting with is actually transgender. His exaggerated reaction, played for laughs, is now seen as offensive and transphobic by modern audiences. Similarly, the film's portrayal of women, often as damsels in distress or subjects of mixed charm, has been criticized for reinforcing gender stereotypes. Additionally, the depiction of Aboriginal Australians, while highlighting their deep connection to the land, has been accused of being overly simplified and catering to Western audiences' perceptions rather than reality. Some argue that it fails to fully represent the complexity and richness of Indigenous cultures. Though these elements were widely accepted in the 1980s, they spark debate today, reminding viewers of how cultural perspectives evolve over time. After the massive success of Crocodile Dundee, a sequel was inevitable. Crocodile Dundee 2, 1988, performed well at the box office, earning over $230 million worldwide. While it didn't capture the same magic as the original, audiences still enjoyed seeing Mick Dundee navigate danger in both Australia and New York. However, the franchise took a nosedive with Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles, 2001. By this point, the formula felt outdated, and the humor failed to resonate with modern audiences. Critics tore the film apart, and it scored a dismal 11% on Rotten Tomatoes. The once beloved character now seemed like a relic of the past, struggling to find relevance in a new era. Decades later, Crocodile Dundee remains one of the most beloved and successful Australian films of all time. Whether it's the unforgettable one-liners, the stunning outback landscapes, or Mick Dundee's effortless charm, the movie continues to capture the imagination of audiences worldwide. Which fact surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more movie trivia and nostalgia.